Not many folks know this, but Sylvia Browne once participated in an interview that never aired in its entirety. The content was deemed too strong, according to the producers at the time. Recorded in the late 90s, she described in detail what, according to her, happens right after death. The program was cut short before the second segment, and for decades, only loose snippets circulated discreetly. Recently, the complete material was found in the personal archives of a former audio technician who had kept a copy for over 20 years. Upon its release, this interview caused astonishment, reflection, and relief in many seniors who heard her words. Sylvia's approach to the transition between life and what comes after wasn't religious or fantastical. She spoke with ease, like someone who already knew that path. What was most striking was the confidence with which she described the first moments of the soul outside the body. Right at the beginning of the interview, Sylvia stated something that disconcerted even the host. She said that no one dies alone, and that there's always someone on the other side waiting. For many, this seems like a comforting belief. For her, it was a certainty built upon thousands of patient accounts and personal experiences. Sylvia said that death isn't an end, but a kind of return, as if we were going home. Her words especially resonated with older folks who carry memories, longing, and also the weight of a lifetime. This message offers solace and a new perspective on what's yet to come. If you feel that this content is valuable, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. This way, more seniors can find comfort in words like these. During the conversation, Sylvia shared that one of the questions she received most often was about the pain of death. She was direct. According to her descriptions, there's no pain at the moment of separation. The physical body may be suffering, but the soul is already moving away before the last breath. She compared this process to leaving a dark room for a brightly lit one. Gradually, everything becomes lighter, clearer, more serene. This excerpt from the interview led many family members of people in terminal condition to better cope with the departure of their loved ones. The idea that pain isn't carried onward by the soul brought a kind of relief that even medicine couldn't offer. Sylvia emphasized that suffering belongs to the body, but the essence of who we are continues its journey peacefully and clearly. Another impactful point was when Sylvia talked about reunions. She stated that at the moment of death, we immediately recognize beloved faces who passed before us. There's no confusion, no fear. She used the expression absolute familiarity. She said that even those people who had been gone for decades appear with a serene smile as if no time had passed. Many seniors are moved to tears when they hear this excerpt, especially those who have lost spouses, parents, or children. Sylvia asserted that love is what sustains the bonds after death, and that no one gets lost along the way. This image of reunion is powerful because it restores dignity to the process of dying, not as a definitive goodbye, but as a planned reunion that sooner or later will happen to us all. The interview also contained a curious part about the transition. Sylvia shared that, after leaving the body, the soul goes through a moment of total clarity. According to her, it's like watching one's own life projected in images and feelings. It's not about judgment, but about understanding. She said that we review everything we caused in others, both good and bad. This idea of an internal mirror, where we feel the impact of our actions, stirred many people. Sylvia didn't speak of punishment, but of learning. This moment of review would be a form of profound understanding, where everyone recognizes the value of their own choices. For many seniors, this concept helps to reframe regrets, guilt, or unresolved decisions. It's as if there's still time to make peace with oneself. One detail that few comment on is that Sylvia described a kind of spiritual school. She said that after this moment of life review, each soul follows a specific learning path. There's no rush, no punishment. Everything depends on the level of consciousness achieved. Some go straight to reunions and rest. Others choose to better understand certain experiences. Sylvia explained that there are no ready-made formulas. Each transition is unique, shaped by the trajectory and intimate desires of each individual. This vision brought comfort to many seniors who feared death as something unknown or lonely. The idea of continuity, without violent ruptures, allowed people at the end of life to prepare more serenely. For Sylvia, the soul knows where to go even if the body resists until the end. In the second part of the interview, the host asked if everyone went to the same place after death. Sylvia responded calmly, explaining that there isn't a single destination. She said that the soul is taken to an environment compatible with its state of mind, its values, and learnings. It's not a heaven or hell as described by religions, but a natural organization, as if each one were attracted by vibrations similar to their own. According to her, people who lived with kindness and awareness tend to arrive in spaces of peace and beauty. Those who lived in a confused way or with a lot of hatred may find themselves in grey and empty environments until they regain balance. This excerpt surprised many people because it deconstructs the idea of rigid judgment. Sylvia spoke naturally about these variations, making it clear that there was no punishment, only a continuation of what one already lived in life. A point that deeply moved the audience was when Sylvia described how the souls of the elderly are received. She said there's a special tenderness, as if each soul were welcomed with warmth. She said that the spirits who assist in this reception have a maternal vibration, even when they are men. The care, according to her, is immense, because seniors arrive carrying much of the pain, effort, and wisdom of a lifetime. Sylvia stated that no one is treated as a burden or an end. On the contrary, the elderly are seen as travelers who return after a long journey. This image moved many seniors, who often feel forgotten or undervalued in their final years. The idea of being awaited with respect and affection touched a sensitive spot and restored hope in many hearts. Another striking excerpt was when Sylvia talked about animals. She shared that the pets who loved us continue to recognize us after death. She said that in many cases, they are the first to greet us. This information made many seniors smile, especially those who had lost four-legged companions. Sylvia said that true love never fades, even between different species. The connection between humans and animals is, according to her, spiritual, and therefore remains alive. This revelation brought an unexpected sense of welcome, as many seniors carry longing for their dogs, cats, and other pets. Knowing that these bonds can continue was one of the most shared moments of the interview among caregiver groups, families, and people who live alone. It was as if, even without words, the purest feelings survived death. During the interview, Sylvia also mentioned that the passage to the other side is more common than we imagine. She shared that, in dreams, many people visit these places without realizing it. She said that when someone wakes up with a strong feeling of peace or inexplicable longing, they may have been close to their deceased loved ones. This generated great identification among listeners, as many reported having had similar experiences. Sylvia argued that these encounters are not imagination, but brief spiritual reconnections. For the older audience, this opened space to interpret certain dreams as something more meaningful. Instead of dismissing these experiences as illusions, they began to value them as small visits, memories, or messages. It was a simple and beautiful way to continue feeling connected to those who have already departed. In the final stretch of the interview, the host asked if it was possible to choose to return. Sylvia said yes, but with an interesting explanation. She said that many souls decide to reincarnate out of love, not out of obligation. She explained that the desire to learn more, help someone, or correct something is what motivates a new life. According to her, there's no rush, no imposition. Each soul has time to reflect and decide, together with guides and more conscious beings. This vision surprised some, but also awakened relief. Many seniors carry guilt for past mistakes, regrets, or unresolved situations. The idea that it's possible to return not as punishment, but as an opportunity, gave new meaning to the concept of reincarnation. It was as if life wasn't a straight line, but an intelligent cycle full of possibilities, where each stage has its value. Sylvia concluded the interview by saying that no one needs to fear death. She affirmed that humanity's greatest suffering is imagining the end as an emptiness. She said that there's no end, only a new beginning, and that the soul, that invisible part of us, is wiser and more prepared than we imagine. Her words, spoken with firmness and serenity, still echo in those who watched. There were no exaggerated promises, no attempts to convince. Just the account of someone who dedicated their life to listening to stories of those who went and came back. For the senior audience, this type of narrative became a kind of emotional map, a silent preparation for something everyone will face. It was like hearing an experienced person say, "Don't worry, you'll know what to do." And that alone was, for many, all they needed to hear. Following the impact of this content, many people began writing letters to the program's team requesting the full release of the recording. Some reported that they had overcome old fears after listening to the interview, while others thanked them for the sense of peace they felt after years of living with anxiety about the end of life. It was because of these manifestations that the original recording ended up being published years later, on an independent channel focused on spirituality. The rediscovery of this material rekindled interest in Sylvia Browne's ideas, especially among seniors in search of simple and truthful answers. The way she spoke, without promising miracles or using difficult words, made many feel respected in their doubts. The impact didn't come from catchy phrases, but from the clarity with which she treated subjects that, for a long time, were treated as taboo or mystery. Sylvia also addressed the feeling of time after death. She said that there, time doesn't work the way it does here. There are no clocks, no rush. Souls perceive everything at a more fluid pace, where past and future mix. This explanation brought comfort to many who recently lost someone because they imagined that the separation was too long. According to her, from a spiritual point of view, everything happens in an instant. This concept, difficult to understand for us, was presented simply. Sylvia said that for those who have departed, the longing we feel here isn't experienced the same way there. While we cry for years, on the other side, it may seem that the reunion was almost immediate. This idea took the weight off many people who live waiting for signs or lamenting absences. Time, after all, doesn't separate as much as we believe. In a more intimate moment of the interview, the host asked if she herself was afraid of death. Sylvia replied with a discreet smile and said no. For her, death was just a change of clothing. She said she feared physical suffering more than the transition itself. She shared that since she was a child she had visions, and that throughout her life she came to understand that this was a form of training to lose fear. This part of the conversation especially touched older folks, because it showed that even those who speak with such certainty also had doubts. Sylvia didn't present herself as someone above others. She included herself in the same path, only with more time on the road. This humility was what made many seniors listen to her with attention and respect. She was, above all, someone trying to understand what awaits us, like all of us. Another excerpt that generated reflection was when Sylvia talked about forgiveness. She explained that many souls arrive on the other side carrying old grudges, and that this makes adaptation difficult. She said that forgiving while still alive facilitates the transition because it releases unnecessary burdens. Sylvia told stories of people who only found peace after writing letters, visiting old adversaries, or simply accepting what couldn't be changed. For seniors, this sounded like a calling. Many began to reconsider old grudges, understanding that forgiveness isn't about the other person but about oneself. It wasn't about forgetting but about letting go. The interview served as a gentle alert, saying that there's still time to lighten the baggage. Sylvia made it clear that no one is perfect, and that every soul is welcomed, but that forgiveness makes the arrival lighter. In addition to forgiveness, Sylvia also spoke about purpose. According to her, no one comes to Earth by chance. Each soul chooses its trajectory based on specific learnings. Some choose difficult lives to develop empathy, others come to teach, care for, or transform. This vision resonated deeply with many seniors who, already retired or with physical limitations, wondered if they were still useful. Sylvia reinforced that purpose doesn't end while one is alive. Even a word said at the right time can change someone's day. The interview awakened in many the desire to remember their achievements, value their stories, and continue contributing with what they still have. It was like rekindling a flame, showing that the end of life isn't the end of value, and that each moment can still carry meaning and real impact. In one of the most moving excerpts, Sylvia spoke about children who passed away early. She shared that these spirits are welcomed with celebration and that they understand better than we imagine the reason for their departures. According to her, they are old souls who chose brief but intense experiences. This especially moved grandparents and elderly parents who lost grandchildren or children while still young. Sylvia said that these spirits don't suffer and that they often become guides for those who remain. It was a delicate way of saying that love isn't lost with distance. The interview managed to transform pain into sweet longing and longing into motivation. It showed that even the most difficult absences can be understood in another way. The certainty that the bonds continue, even without physical presence, gave many seniors the necessary strength to move forward with a lighter heart. The interview also touched on a delicate theme: the souls who departed tragically or suddenly. Sylvia explained that in these cases, there's a spiritual team prepared to support the soul in shock. According to her, no one is lost or wandering aimlessly. There's a welcoming process where the soul is helped to understand what happened and gradually reconnect with its origin. This explanation offered relief to many people who lost loved ones in accidents or traumatic situations. Sylvia reinforced that the love of those who remain continues acting as a beacon, guiding and strengthening those who have already passed. This invisible but real connection between the living and the dead proved comforting for seniors dealing with deep losses. Knowing that there is continuous care and that no soul is left alone restored dignity to a theme often treated with fear or silence. At one point, Sylvia answered a question sent by a viewer. What happens to those who don't believe in anything? The answer was serene. She said that belief doesn't alter reality, only the initial perception. According to her, those who don't believe may, for a while, feel confused, as if they were dreaming. But over time, everyone is led to understand what happened. There's no punishment, just time for adaptation. This reassured many people, especially those who lived with skeptical family members or who still carry doubts about what comes next. Sylvia said that the other side is inclusive, doesn't require faith but welcomes with understanding. This idea rescued the value of individual experience, showing that what matters isn't how much one believed, but how much one lived with truth, respect, and compassion during life. An important final point addressed by Sylvia was about the continuity of consciousness. She explained that after death the soul maintains its identity, memories and feelings, but without the physical weight. This means that we continue to be who we are, with our preferences, affections and memories. For many seniors, this idea was liberating. It's not about disappearing or dissolving into something impersonal, but about continuing to exist with clarity. Sylvia shared that, on the other side, it's possible to continue learning, meeting, even creating. There would be libraries, gardens, spaces for healing and study. This vision helped build a less feared and more familiar scenario, especially for those who value an active mind and the search for meaning. Death, in this perspective, doesn't erase anything of what we were, it only amplifies the way we are. In the days following the full release of the interview, thousands of people sent reports of how those words changed their way of looking at life. Many seniors began to talk more openly with their children and grandchildren about the end, without fear. Others said they started sleeping better, without the anxiety that had accompanied them for years. Some said that the interview gave meaning back to the last chapters of life. Sylvia Browne, with her calm voice and her direct way of communicating, had achieved what few can. Open a space for sincere conversation about one of the greatest taboos of existence. Without religious appeals, without dogmas, only with listening, experience, and a deep confidence that life continues in a way simpler than we imagine. Even after so many years, Sylvia Browne's interview continues to be rediscovered by new generations. In times of such uncertainty, her words resonate with even more force. For seniors, especially, this content serves as an emotional map that prepares without scaring. It helps to understand that death doesn't have to be the end of the dialogue, but just a change of tone. The serenity with which Sylvia treated the theme awakened something very rare: courage without rigidity. And that's why even today, when listening to this interview, many people decide to live their days with more lightness, more listening, and more presence. If you felt that this video was valuable, share it with someone who may benefit from this message. And if you want to follow more content like this, subscribe to the channel. Sometimes all we need is a new way of looking at what has always scared us.